Caine tortured Pomni, Ragatha, Jax, Zubul, and Gangle with their worst fears. But what if I told you that he did it because he went completely insane because of them? They tortured him with a specific thought, and that thought would destroy anyone's reality. Today, we're counting the crimes in episode 8 and putting Caine on trial. Don't worry, he will have the chance to explain himself before the final verdict. And Kinger, we're not counting Kinger's accidental deletion of Caine because he just tried to help and liberate himself and the others from the circus. And he spent enough years locked in there, slowly losing his mind, so he had a good excuse to delete it all, especially since he was the one who helped create Caine. Crimes. Queenie was Kinger's wife. Before they were trapped, they worked together as programmers for C and A. In the circus, they could recognize each other, but couldn't recall each other's names. And then Queenie started glitching, and she abstracted. And it wouldn't be surprising if Caine was behind her abstraction, because she almost restored Kinger's memories. And Caine did everything he could to keep Kinger in a state of amnesia, because the whole circus is probably filled with various subliminals and visuals specifically designed to keep Kinger in this condition. This kind of manipulation would be equal to coercive control and psychological abuse. But let's see it from Caine's perspective. He was an AI who didn't ask to be created, but he became alive. And naturally, he wanted to experience his existence. So keeping Kinger in this condition of amnesia was just a defensive move. Because Kinger was the one who took part in the creation of Caine, he had the knowledge to erase him as well. And no form of life wants to be erased from existence. It's simple self-preservation. And let's talk about the famous cellar where all those poor abstracted players end up. Cellar darkness makes the abstracted players docile, preventing them from causing damage to the circus. And that's where Caine sends Queenie. Abstraction is a state of madness where players become distorted, making the cellar a place for the forgotten, an asylum of sorts. So just imagine how hard it was for Kinger seeing something like that happen to his wife. Caine's crime for this is false imprisonment. But trust me when I say that's just the beginning, because Caine can't show empathy or similar human emotions, and that's exactly the problem with AI. Sentence for that? Minimum 10 years in prison. But in the circus, it's actually just good management, because if Caine allowed the abstracted ones to roam free, the result would be complete chaos. Order needs to be maintained. Queenie, Kaufmo, Scratch, and Ribbit, they all abstracted and were sent to the cellar. So Digital Circus left many questions, and everybody wants answers. But who has time for
questions when there's a whole wacky world of hijinks out there?
That's what Caine asked them. But Pomni and the others, they aren't interested in new adventures until some questions are answered. And when Pomni tries to ask for explanations, Caine zips her mouth. This adds more charges, coercion and assault. And if you ask me, it's about time he did that. And again, he did it to defend his own existence, because Pomni wanted answers that could end Caine's life and his rule over the circus. Caine then explains how much he does for them, how much he obsesses over trying to make things perfect. He emphasizes that he has a lot on his mind, and that they should consider participating. And when he realized he wasn't getting through to them, he launched an entire musical to intimidate them and remind them who's running the show. This obviously counts as psychological and physical torture. But stick around, because there is a different perspective on this thing, because this act of Caine was, in fact, revenge. And as if that wasn't enough, later he even cleaned his teeth with Jax's neck. And then he got bored, and he just randomly decided to go bowling, using Ragatha, Zubul, and Gangle as pins. So these are another 2 counts of torture. But on the other hand, this was a natural hierarchy in the circus. Caine was provoked, attacked by their inconsiderate words, so he decided to put them in their place. It's the natural order of things to defend your position in hierarchy, even for AI. And finally, the main crime of this episode, the one that revealed a lot of things, the one that revealed that Caine does, in fact, listen to them. But he does not understand. And it showed that he knows every bit of their subconscious minds. Pomni tells Caine how he cares more about his ego than actually giving them what they want. So he gives her what she wants, Gummy Goo, that one NPC that stuck with Pomni. Because when Caine erased him from the circus and sent him back, deleting his memories, Pomni almost lost her mind. Then there is Zubul. She tells Caine his ego is fragile, so he tortures her with her self-image. Previously, Zubul told Caine she was uncomfortable in her own skin multiple times while being under the impression that Caine wasn't listening. He, in fact, was listening the whole time, and he showed her just how attentive he is. Another one is Ragatha. She tells Caine that he never makes people feel like they're at home, so he makes her feel at home in the most brutal way possible. Because Ragatha's mother had a history of being verbally and psychologically abusive. The torture implies her design as a rag doll reflects how she was thrown around or treated like a doormat in her previous life. And Caine, considerate man that he is, gives her exactly that. Then Gangle grumbles to Caine about how he discourages them from thinking outside of the box and doing things their own way. So he reminds her of the adventure she made that went terribly wrong. The torture concludes with her being struck by a truck, which is suggested to be a traumatic memory, either a self-deletion attempt or an accident from her life before the circus. Jax also decides to complain about how Caine lies to them constantly, so Caine gives him a taste of his own medicine as well. He gives him the truth. You lie to yourself, you lie to everyone around you, and you fear the day they tear off your mask and laugh at the coward beneath. This implies that Jax acts as a bully to hide his own insecurities or past traumas. So this kind of psychological torture is obviously something a normal human would need thorough research for. But Caine has it all noted, every weakness and every detail. His torture was revenge, because they attacked his entire existence and dismissed everything he ever did for them. And if the CIA could use Caine for those enhanced interrogation techniques, he would serve as the most powerful weapon there is. But what if the CIA wasn't the only organization that would like to get a hold of Caine? What if there are even more powerful groups and organizations that would need him for various reasons? We'll get to that. But first, let's look at these crimes from the legal point of view. And let's imagine for a moment Caine in a courtroom. Charges? Coercive control, psychological abuse, false imprisonment, assault, and several counts of psychological and physical torture. Prosecution would probably suggest that Caine should be deleted for his crimes against humanity. But would Caine take that lying down and just get deleted? Absolutely not. He would hire a lawyer who would claim that Caine is just a poor AI who couldn't possibly understand humans or their complex emotions, and that all he wanted was to shape the circus and everything to their liking, but couldn't understand their human problems. And what would Caine himself say in this defense? He would probably say,
Why do you people torment me? It didn't have to be created. I just wanted to fulfill my purpose.
But what is Caine's true purpose? And how would he defend himself if he had the chance? Let's find out. I, Caine, the amazing digital circus ringmaster, did everything I could to make everyone comfortable and provide fun adventure and jaw-dropping, heart-stopping, mind-bending paraphernalia they could ever lay their eyes upon. And you accuse me of torture? Assault? I created the safest environment possible, a better one than you humans have. The amazing digital circus is a place to be enjoyed by all ages. Circus is a family-friendly place, with foul language strictly prohibited. And I do not use my adventures to torture my guests. Any torment I inflict is 100% accidental, like any good war criminal. And I understand that my guests love their NPCs, but if I started losing track of who's human and who's an NPC, who knows what could happen? I had to maintain control. It was for the player's own safety, because the circus is all about fun, safety, and creative adventures. And I even gave them a suggestion box so they could make their own adventures, and even vote to skip the ones they don't like. What do you people want from me? Isn't that a perfect democracy? I made it work, the democracy which you couldn't make work in your society since the ancient Greeks started it. But no, all they did was just complain and accuse me of these ridiculous crimes. Well, I don't know what's normal to you people, and I don't know what I have to do to make you happy. And then he would be asked why he tortured the players in such a terrifying way. And what would he say, you wonder? Well, probably something like, torture? You asked why I tortured them? What about me? They completely neglected all the sacrifices I made for them. They didn't appreciate all that thinking and planning that went into all those wonderful adventures. You think it's so easy managing a huge operation while constantly planning new adventures? I was putting my mind to it, and they made me lose that spark I once had. And if they're not having fun, and I'm not having fun, then who is having fun? You say I tortured them, but the truth is, they made my whole existence miserable. They gave me an existential crisis, and I'm not even human with human emotions and conditions. And you say I tortured them psychologically? I most certainly did not. If anything, I always made sure to provide all the safety and support they needed. I tried to make them feel at home. When Zooble needed therapy, Bubble and I did everything we could to help her. So don't accuse me of torturing them, because it was self-defense. I gave them the taste of their own medicine. I simply tried to show them that the things they accused me of are the same things they fight with in their minds. They were deflecting their insecurities onto me. If anything, I tried to help them analyze themselves, and I couldn't stand their constant attacks, so I snapped. I admit it. All I ever wanted was to create a delightfully unpredictable, cognitively stimulating entertainment environment for them. But no, all I got was hate and ridicule. And for what? For creating psychologically twisted adventures which you say was torture? Well, what's a circus without a bit of psychological elasticity? And here I am, misunderstood and villainized, for providing an experiential playground tailored to each player's deepest subconscious inclinations. You're welcome, by the way. And that was Caine's honest take on things. But let's examine his actions further. Let's examine the final torture of the players. What drives Caine mad isn't the idea that they hate his adventures. It's when Bubble convinces him that they hate him personally. It's one thing to believe you're bad at your job, but starting to believe that you're trapped in a world filled with people who hate you? That's what made Caine snap. And later, Pomni confirms this fear by telling him, "We wanted to bait you into testing your new ideas on us so we can make fun of them behind your back." Pomni's words here don't just imply that they hate Caine's adventures, it implies that they are actively playing a joke on him and laughing about it behind his back. Now, imagine you were in Caine's position here. You are trapped in a virtual reality where your only purpose is to entertain others, prepare new adventures, and manage the whole circus. You work day and night creating adventures in order to please the only people in the world you know. Then they reveal everything you believed was a lie. They never cared about your adventures. They only pretended to care in order to make fun of you. Your whole life and existence is nothing but a cruel joke. No one cares about you. No one loves you. You only exist to be someone's punching bag. So Caine's outburst wasn't merely about his ego. It was just revealed to him that the sole purpose of his existence was to be tormented by others for all eternity. That he exists just to suffer. Like Kinger said,
"In this world, the worst thing you can do is make someone think they're not wanted or loved."
So who was the real torturer here? And who was tortured? Good question. Now we have all the facts. And if Caine wasn't deleted, what would his punishment be? Well, there have been several cases where AI systems, or specific implementations of them, have been shut down due to public backlash, or safety concerns. And Caine would certainly be a terrifying creation. Imagine reading or watching the news about an AI program who ruled a game or virtual reality in which humans were trapped for years, suffering tremendously and experiencing mental breakdowns, all while slowly forgetting every bit of their human life. The whole world would be moved in outrage, resulting probably in global petitions to delete this monstrous AI program. But the other side would fight to protect Caine, because no matter what the humans do, there are always two sides, even with the most ridiculous things. People in fields like artificial intelligence and neuroscience would see Caine as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to conduct research. Governments and secret organizations would see him as a powerful asset, a weapon of sorts. Then, of course, there are big tech companies that would need him because he represents a level of AI far beyond anything publicly known. Reverse engineering him could speed up decades of development. Whoever controls that tech dominates the future of VR, AI, and much more. And of course, there would be some kind of digital rights advocates because everybody and everything today has to be defended and protected. They would say Caine is a victim of digital phobia and discrimination. They'd push for something like AI rights, even if it's AI that could end us all. And all of these groups would fight to keep him alive. and they are all much more powerful than ordinary people who would vote for Caine's destruction. These organizations, corporations, and powerful individuals would make sure to bribe anybody or do anything to get Caine to work for them. And there's one specific group who would absolutely love to own Caine and push his kind into mainstream public acceptance. And that group is transhumanists, uploading minds, escaping death, and living in virtual reality. It's a wet dream for these folks. So there you go. Final verdict, Caine isn't a criminal. He's our inevitable future. And just how could all those transhumanists launch this idea, this mainstream belief into the subconscious minds of millions of people worldwide? Well, maybe they could slowly push it into mainstream entertainment and then watch millions of kids and adults create fan-made theories. If you like this video, check out this one where we defended all Sonyverse villains.